State lawmakers, past and present, are playing the blame game when it comes to spending nearly $130,000 of your money on something they never used.
Our digging turned up some hazy decision-making and hundreds of voting mistakes over the last legislative session. KXAN political reporter Josh.Hinkle asked why the state stashed a possible solution to a long-standing problem for more than 2 years.
They were meant to make voting in the Texas House a little easier for lawmakers.
I thought it was a good idea to have a way of people voting from around the floor.
In November 2008, 10 fingerprint scanners went in.
If there were a station, that would probably be helpful.
And 2 months later, the $128,000 devices disappeared.
I don't have any idea where they are.
So why have them in the first place?
I've found that I've been voted wrong when I'm just diagonally across the room, so then I have to go make sure my vote got changed.
We checked the most recent regular session's House journals. 140 days and nearly 1,700 wrong votes cast. And those are just the ones members caught. Often it's because of a long-standing controversial practice called ghost voting.
It's just not uncommon, and it's a courtesy that we all do for each other.
If we weren't allowed to do it, our participation, I think, would hurt tremendously.
The House rules say as long as you have that member's permission, it's all right for another member to cast their vote for them.
House Bill 335 is finally passed.
When 6,000 bills get filed,
House Bill 1994 is finally passed.
1,300 bills get passed.
House Bill 748 has finally passed.
You spend as much as 14 hours a day on this floor. Being tethered to your desk for purposes of voting is a little bit limiting.
They're tied up.
You know, I may go away and go to the restroom or go to my office for a second.
They're across the chamber.
And I'll wave at him and he'll vote for me.
And they're putting their trust, the decisions behind the bills that affect you, in another person's hands.
And the worst thing you could ever do is vote somebody different from what they wanted to vote. You know, if they ask you to vote yes for me and you vote no, obviously, that's not a good thing.
Ghost voting really came under media fire between legislative sessions in 2008. So the House Administration Committee back then decided to test out something to ease the scrutiny. Voluntary fingerprint scanners would allow those members not at their desks to cast the vote they actually want. But they never got the chance to use them. So we turned to the current House Administration Chair, Charlie Guerin.
They were never installed. They've never been on the floor of the House during a legislative session.
True, but video we shot 2 months before the 2009 legislative session shows the machines on the House floor. The House Business Office says staff members took them out to make space for the crowded ceremony when lawmakers returned.
Since they bought them, I have no idea why we're not using them.
Here's where people start pointing fingers.
I was not the chair of House Administration at the time, and Speaker Strauss was not the Speaker at the time, so I can't answer that question either.
Both Guerin and Speaker Joe Strauss's offices told us to ask the previous Speaker, Tom Craddock, and the previous House Administration Chair, Tony Goolsbee. Craddock was unavailable for comment. Goolsbee, who didn't want to talk, lost re-election, and the machines disappeared soon after.
I mean, they're not practical, and there's no need for them.
Guerin says members or whoever's voting for them should use the buttons on their desk, even if they're standing all the way over here where a machine might be more convenient. And when we pressed him to find out where those machines might be right now, he pointed us to a building a block away.
Well, they were put in storage and decided we don't need them.
Our public information request revealed there's no documentation detailing whose decision it was to put them there.
I hope that they'd send them back and we'd get our money back, or some of our money back.
But that's not an option. The companies that made the scanners and their cabinetry say they're custom built and they can't take them back.
I wasn't aware that money had actually been spent to actually purchase any of these kind of devices.
I think that could be under the category of wasted money.
Guerin says after more than 2 years, he's not sure the machines you paid for still work.
What's ever going to become of them? They're just going to stay there forever?
I guess so. Unless somebody decides they want to buy them from us.
We asked to go behind the locked doors on the 5th floor of the Reagan building to see the machines, but they told us no. However, they did tell us that 25 to 30 staff members tested them out in the beginning, and they did work. For now, though, this is where they'll stay, and there's no plans to bring them back to the House floor. In the Reagan building, Josh.Hinkle, KXAN News.
As Texans, we always take care of the least among our population, the frail, the young, the elderly.
Governor Rick Perry gave that pledge in his inaugural address this week. And the next day, the House announced a baseline budget with deep 33% cuts to Medicaid-funded nursing homes.
If they don't get funding, they can't get their medicines wherever they stay, if they can find a place to stay.
Places like Maggie Johnson Nursing Center in East Austin would suffer severely.
Like they're playing dominoes there.
Nurse Barbara Wash says most of their 52 patients need Medicaid to pay for the services here and are already struggling. Even before the new budget announcement, the already proposed 2% Medicaid rate cuts, on top of last fall's $25.6 million state Medicaid cuts, and federal Medicare cuts of more than $1.5 billion over a decade, nursing homes were already in danger.
I grew up in East Austin.
That includes thousands of jobs in these facilities. Wash has been a nurse since 1966 and plans to retire in another year.
I'm sure that some of them will find a job, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of them that won't. So they'll have to retire.
It's not right for the state of Texas to be raising taxes when we've got so many of our people either out of work or underemployed.
Republicans say no new taxes amid a projected $27 billion budget shortfall. Democrats say without additional revenue, programs like nursing homes will be forced to go without or rely on other options.
Those guys out there that have their man caves where they go to watch the games are going to probably find those converted into mother-in-law rooms now.
Wash says many patients don't have another option.
Some of them, maybe a few might, can depend on family, but other than that, they'll just be out there in the streets, and that's horrible.
In East Austin, Josh.Steven.Hinkle, KXAN, Austin News.
As we wind down these last couple of days of the session, every single minute matters. So it was very important, as you just mentioned, that the lawmakers actually took 2 whole hours today to honor about 100 Texans who have sacrificed their life during the war on terror since the last legislative session.
Every session, members from both of these chambers, both sides of the aisle for that matter, they take some time to set aside their differences, gather here in memory of those who have fallen in Afghanistan and Iraq.
The global war on terrorism has claimed the lives of nearly 6,000 American service members, including more than 500 Texans.
Amazing grace.
The family members we have met.
Private First Class Peter K. Cross.
And the babies we have hugged today, never known the loving embrace of their daddy.
Staff Sergeant Joshua M. Mills.
Like me.
Each represent a human being now departed who represented the very best of us.
But now I'm found.
Let these brave men and women be an example to us in the House of Representatives, and may we serve our state and nation with the courage and strength befitting of their sacrifice.